Once again, you join me in the Subaru XV, Subaru's compact crossover. Now, why am I driving it again? Well, the last time I drove it was on the car's launch, but we didn't really have enough time to get to know it properly. That quite often happens on launches. More specifically though, I didn't have a chance to explore its wilder side. Now make sure you like this video, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you visit newmotoring.com, and also click on the little bell icon next to our channel name so you get notified every time we upload a new video. Now, as I said a few months ago, although this looks very similar to the old XV, underneath it has changed quite significantly. 80% of the components in the engine are new, the chassis is stronger, the suspension is stiffer, there's 50% less roll than there used to be as well. It's safer, it's better off-road, etc, etc. I could go on. And because I said all of that just a few months ago, there really is no point in me going over everything again. I would get bored, you would get bored. So if there's anything I don't say in this video, go and watch the other one because I'm sure it will be in there. Today, I will focus on three things. The first is the engine. You can get the XV with a 1.6 litre or a 2 litre 4-cylinder boxer engine, naturally aspirated. And the boxer engine is the engine that you think of when you think of Subaru. It's a classic. Once again, I'm driving the 2 litre boxer engine, so it has 155 brake horsepower and 143 pounds-feet of torque. 0 to 62 miles an hour takes 10.4 seconds and the top speed is 120 miles an hour. It's not quick then, but actually once you're higher up in the rev range, the red line is just over 6,000 RPM, the engine really starts to wake up, and I think that's because it's not turbocharged, so most of the power is higher up in the rev range. And I'm so confident that if you blindfolded anyone, I'm sure if I blindfolded you, which sounds weird, but just bear with for a second, and put you in the front seat with me and drove along, you would be able to hear that we were in a Subaru. You'd be able to hear the fact that it's a boxer engine. Secondly, the XV has a CVT, a constant variable transmission, so it doesn't have fixed gear ratios in the same way a manual or an automatic would do. My opinion of the CVT remains the same. It is super smooth when you're cruising. At 70 miles an hour you're pulling 1500 RPM, at 40 miles an hour you're doing 1000 RPM, and it's just so smooth, so quiet. But if you want to get a move on, if you want response, it just feels slow and a bit weird. It takes too long for it to wake up. The throttle response just isn't there, and that's not an engine issue, that's purely down to the gearbox. Subaru has given this transmission simulated gear ratios to make it sound a bit more normal, but to be honest, it still just feels a bit strange. There's a reason why CVTs aren't used in performance cars, is because they're just not as good as normal automatics or normal manuals, and I think it's the same here. If you want response, this is not the right gearbox for you. It's just not responsive enough. And now to the third item on my list, and I want to talk about the XV's party piece. You see, most things about the XV are good, but not the best. Like the interior. The interior has everything you need, really. It's got loads of safety kit. But the interior quality, the quality of the materials, doesn't stack up against some of its competitors. Similarly, the suspension is comfortable enough, but the wheels don't always feel controlled. They feel like they've got a little bit too much freedom. You can feel them wobbling around sometimes and shaking. However, if you're driving along the main road and you get a little bored, you can pull off the main road and have a little adventure. Let me show you what I mean. Now, you'll have to forgive me, I'm afraid, if it's a little bit dark, but driving along through trees, it does tend to be quite dark. You also have to forgive me if you're getting bumped around all over the place. I know I certainly am, but the thing is, you don't have to deal with back problems, whereas I, if I go over a particularly big bump, probably will do. This is what the XV is good at. Where some other SUVs and crossovers have no off-road capability, not really, the XV has a permanent all-wheel drive system and some proper off-road mechanicals that allow you to do things you just wouldn't be able to dream of in some other cars. Granted, I'm not driving through a swamp, and actually I'm probably less than 3 miles away from where I live, but this car has the tech and it's got the ground clearance that you need to deal with this kind of stuff. And some of the conditions we've encountered today have been challenging to the point where if you just had a normal SUV with clever electronics that would move the power around or grab different brakes to try and get you out of tricky situations, they wouldn't be able to continue. You need something a bit more serious. We've needed something a bit more serious. And do you know what? It's worked out all right. There were times today when I thought, oh no, that's not going to work. We're going to get stuck. We're going to get stuck. I don't want to have to make that phone call to Subaru saying, yeah, I've ditched your car in a wood somewhere. But it's just ploughed on. It's impressive. It is very impressive. Is it annoying? The engine choice is so narrow. Yes. Would a different gearbox make for a more enjoyable on-road experience? Again, yes. But if you ever go off-road, this doesn't fall down. That is its selling point. If you're looking for a standard SUV, there are plenty out there. There are too many really, and some of them are a bit too close together. But if you're looking for something with a bit more capability, this is more impressive than most.